Hey everyone, I'm in Elden Ring. Here I'm going to show you how to use a bow. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how to equip a bow, assuming you've got one already. So in the equipment, which you hit with your menu button, you can either put your long bow or short bow, whatever you've got, in your right hand armament or your left hand armament. And you can also have a weapon stored with it as well. So what I'm going to do is just put a sword in my right hand. And then I'm going to put the longbow in my left hand, and I'll just show you how you switch between them. So to equip the bow, you can see it's there in my hand. If I hit the left D-pad, the bow goes away. Same with the sword, right D-pad, it goes away, because they're the only two things that I've got on. So if I get rid of the sword and then my bow is there, to get the bow ready to fire, I hit the left button, and you'll see that his stance changes, so he's holding the bow with both hands, which is what we need in this case. The bow is now ready to fire. If by any chance you put the bow in your right hand, you hit the RB button instead of the LB button. So to fire the bow, there's a couple of different ways we can do it. We can do manual aim by holding down the LB button, and we get this aimer here, which we're moving with the right stick. Or your other option is to auto aim by locking onto a target, which you do by pressing the right stick button. So I'm locking onto that character over there. And if you look down the bottom at the left hand side, I have two arrow types available, and they can be accessed with RB and RT to fire them. So let's do the RB button first. So we'll just press RB quickly, and out goes an arrow, and you can see it hit the target. Now this particular person has a shield, so the next time we try and hit them, they're going to use the shield to protect themselves, although actually he dropped his shield just as I shot him there, so that actually worked rather well. So let's have a little look at the RT button though. So let's lock onto another target here, and this time I will use RT, and that fires the other arrow, and you should see those counting down on the bottom left hand side. I'll show you how to equip those in just a second, but we'll just take this guy out. Now, depending on the bow, you may have a special option called a mighty shot, or other options. So let me just show you in the equipment again. So we'll just jump into equipment, have a little look at the bow, and if you look in the middle there, just beneath longbow, we have mighty shot, and that's an option that we've got with this particular bow using the skill button, which is LT, which we'll get to in just a second. The other thing I want to show you, which is slightly confusing, is you have bolts and you also have arrows. So arrows are used for bows, bolts are used for crossbows. So these are going to be accessed when I'm equipping a bow, such as this longbow. So I'm going to talk to you about how you make these arrows, where you get them from, in just a second. But let's assume these weren't equipped for the moment. So I will just unequip this one. So I've got nothing equipped there. So if you were equipping the arrows, you'd click on this, and assuming you own some arrows, you can then say, I want these ones on one side, come out of that one with B, press A on the other one, press A to select that one, and then I've got these two selected here. So as I go for the aim, so if we go for the manual aim there, I can see LB is going to be the left one. See down the bottom left, RT is going to be the right one. So we're going to try a manual aim next. So we'll run around here and see if we can find another target, just to show you how the manual aim works as well. You can also sneak with bow, as I'm doing here, just to try and stop people detecting you too much. And I'm using the right stick to move around, just looking for another possible target. Bows also work quite nicely up high, so we could sneak and be up high. So we've got somebody there. So he's seen me already, but I'll use the manual aim. So I'm using LB to aim at him and then firing out. So you can see the problem that we've got is if somebody comes at you while you're trying to aim the bow, you can be in trouble. That's where the auto aim can be quite an easier choice. So it's easier to aim with that when a enemy is rushing you, like we saw in that case, but we took him out still with the bow. That's the point why I was trying to make by having a weapon selected as well, so you can switch between them. So if we were going to get rushed by a character, which I will try now, we could switch to our sword and take them out in melee if we can't take them out with a bow. Now this particular bow has a special option on it called the mighty shot, which is what I want to show you next. So we will just go into crouch mode and find another enemy to take out. So I think there's one just around there. There he is. So we've got this enemy here. And a mighty shot, if we hold down LT, you can see he goes to this sort of bigger pose here. I can't move around anymore. And this, as far as I'm aware, you need the auto shot on to do. And then if I press the RT trigger, you can see I get a much bigger load and more damage done. So that's a pretty cool one. So that's only on a bow if it's got that option. So I'll just show you that again. So it's LT, and then we fire out here, and bosh, he's taken out. So it's a much more powerful shot, but it takes longer to draw back, so it depends on whether you want to use that or not. So let's draw somebody out and just show you switching between the bow and the sword next. So we'll get this guy here, and I'll hit an RT because I'm running out of fire arrows. So he's going to come out. So this is a typical case where you go, oh dear, I need to get my sword. So I moved right on the D-pad to equip my sword. Then I held down triangle and pressed RB again to switch it to two-handed mode. So that's a nice example where the two work. Now, using the bow and arrow to draw an enemy out can be quite useful if you've got a group of enemies, because sometimes you can draw somebody out without getting any other guards come out at the same time. So you see there's another guard there that didn't move even though the other guard was alerted and charged towards me. So that's a nice example where the bow works quite well. So let's have another little go with the bow. So we'll hit left to equip it on the left side, LB to get it ready, and then we'll do the same thing here again. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the arrows that we've got. So you can see if he's got a shield in the way, my bows are getting through slightly, but when his shield drops, that's when we get more damage to him. So in terms of the arrows that we've got, you've seen I've got some flaming arrows which you may or may not have in your equipment. So I'm going to show you how you do that as well. We're going to talk about equipment. I'm also going to show you mounted bow and arrow work as well, so on your Spectral Steed if you own that already. But I'm just going to take out some more of these guys here. So we'll take this one out. This is a typical example where you want to be real careful with your bow because he's going to charge me and he's got a shield and it's going to be difficult for me to take him out before he gets here. So I'm going to switch to my sword, have that double ready and see what we can do against him. So we'll do this. And then we've got that guy taken out. So in terms of stuff that we want to look for, so the first thing for flaming stuff, what you're looking for are smoldering butterflies, which you'll find in encampments like this around fires. So you see those butterflies above, and if you go just up close, you will see you can acquire some smoldering butterflies like that. So what I want to do now is just get on my Spectral Steed. So if you've got a Steed, I'm going to show you how to use your bow on there because it's a little bit confusing. So when you're on here, if you've got the sword active, you can put your sword away, but then you hit the left button and you go, okay, I've got my bow. No, I haven't. What's going on? So we'll show you that again. So we'll just get the bow ready, and it seems to put it on his back, but you've got to then hit triangle plus right button to then equip the bow. Quite why? I don't know. That's just how it works. So it's triangle, hold that down, and then press the right button to move your left armament into your right hand. So you need to make sure that the bow is equipped, and it'll show on your back like that. Then triangle, right button, and the bow is ready. Then you can aim it just like you can anywhere else. So we're moving across here. So I've used the auto aim here, and then I can ride, and I can also aim as I'm moving and make a shot like that. I can also manually aim if I want while I'm moving on horseback. This is obviously a little bit harder, but you get the idea. So sometimes being on horseback with a bow can be quite useful. So because I've got that extra speed, you've got to watch what you lock onto there. We actually accidentally locked onto an animal. And we've got to think about how to try and get round this guy with his shield and try and shoot him. But in his case, it's a bit hard to, he's quite well protected there. So that's another example where it might be better to use a sword against him than that. So we've seen one component for bows. What I want to do now is just travel to another area and just show you something else. So I'm just going to go to the Church of Ella and talk about where we get arrows from. If you haven't got a bow at all, I'll also tell you where you get a bow from as well. We'll finish off traveling to one place where you can buy a bow, and I will also tell you about, I'll also put a movie up for another one where you can get a bow early game. So when you're in this area, the Church of Ella, which you probably know, actually before we ride off, the simplest place to buy arrows is from this merchant here. I can't remember his name. Let's go and have a little look. Talk.
It's you again.
It is me again. So here, purchase, you can buy arrows here. So make sure you buy arrows and not bolts if you've got a bow rather than a crossbow. But obviously if you've got a crossbow, you can go for that. So if you can buy arrows, the downside of this is they're 20 runes a piece, but you can buy them here. later on in the game when money's not a problem. That's not a problem to buy them that way. Another option is to open up crafting. So if you buy the crafting kit, and you may need to buy some of these warrior cookbooks, I forget which one has arrows in it, or whether you need any for arrows, but I think you need to buy some of these. There's also another possibility from another merchant, which I'll show you in just a second. But let's talk about making arrows first. Let's assume you've got a bow and you need to make arrows. So if you get your Spectral Steed, the things that you really need to look for, so we talked about Smoldering butterflies, which you'll find from time to time in fires, but the other thing that we're looking for are just animals wandering around, so hopefully we'll find some. I'm going to come back to those birds in a minute because they're useful. That's what we want. Animals wandering around like that, and just kill them. So as you do that, you will occasionally see the option to pillage the corpse like that. Pillage the corpse for thin beast bones, and that's one thing you can use to make arrows in the game. So which I will show you in just a sec. You need 3 beast bones to make a set of arrows, and then you can also make different things depending on what you get. So the other thing that you want to collect, which we can see over here, so if I jump off my horse, I'm going to go into sneak mode and just try and tiptoe up to these birds up here and see if we can take them out. So we'll go here. Got them. So if you can take on birds like that, and it works particularly well with sneaking, and pillage the corpse, you get flight pinions. I think that other one dropped a bit far, so I won't go and get that one. But there's some more birds there. So by the Church of Ella, you can hunt all these things for all the bits you get, but we'll just get this set here as well. So we'll just tiptoe up and bosh. That one ran away before we could, but they will help us make a different type of arrow, which we'll see in a moment. So we'll just hunt one more set of beast bones, and then we should have enough to do everything that we need. So we'll just have a quick look around for another beastie. Oh, is that one there? Lovely. So not every beast will drop bones or anything like that, so you may need to ride around a little bit. Remember that you can always fast travel back to a site of grace and everything will reset and you can go hunting again, so you don't have to ride too far. There's another one, that's what we need. So there are quite a few little animals around here, and that one looks like he's dropping stuff. Same goes with the Smoldering butterflies. So we should have enough there, so let's just jump off the horse and have a little look at item crafting. So assuming you've bought the item crafting kit from that seller at the Church of Ella, if you jump into item crafting, you should be able to craft various things. So bone arrow you can create from thin beast bones if you find at least 3. So if you look in the middle, it says number required 3, number held 5. So I could make these. Don't go quite there at the minute because I have flight pinions as well. I could go for this option here. So this will give me fletched arrows, which are going to be a bit more damaging. The other one I could go for are firebone arrows. This is using the Smoldering butterfly that we got from the camp that we were at before. It was at Gatefront Ruins. Or another option is firebone arrow fletched. So these are going to be, again, a bit more powerful. And these are the ones that I was showing in the game. So they look pretty darn cool as well. There's also some other ones I've got here. I've got Stormwing bone arrows, which you can find. I will show you in just a tick how to make those. So that's another option for arrows, and I think they're going to be a little more powerful again because they've got these bigger feathers on the back of them as well. But I'm going to go with the firebone arrows just because they look so darn cool. So we'll go for those, and you can see because I only had 3 sets of beast bones, I could only make 1 set of them, but you get the idea with them. So they're now in my inventory. So when I equip my bow again, you can see that's there. So the last thing we need to cover is if you haven't got a bow at all, where do you get a bow from? I will put a little video up at the end that shows the location of a short bow that you can get right at the start of the game traveling from the Church of Ella. I will show you quickly on the map where that is. It's down here. You need to travel, so you need to go from the Church of Ella down here, down into the beach, around here, past this little cave that you find, and there's a little cellar under here. But I have a video showing that travel all the way there. It's fairly easy to get to, and you can buy a bow for 500 runes. It's only a short bow. The bow that I'm showing here is called a long bow, and later on in the game, I'm trying to remember where, I think it's up here, or possibly here, you talk to somebody who unlocks this an area called the Round Table, and there's a table of lost grace that we can travel to, and I will just show you where you buy this bow just to finish off, because that's the bow that I've been using. So we travel to the table of lost grace. So you need to have moved on a little bit in the game before you'll get access to that. So you need to get past the big giant and then you can get to here. So once you're in this place, it's not obvious that there's a cellar here, but if you run off to the left, and then we go down here and all the way along here, and there's this kind of like statue. I almost completely missed it. So this weird statue of people here that don't seem to move or do anything. You can talk and they don't say anything, but you hit purchase, and there you go. There is the bow that I've got. So the long bow, which has the mighty shot option, and it costs 1,200 runes. So once you get there, that's a pretty cool thing to have. That's really all I wanted to cover in here. Hopefully you're now pretty happy on how a bow works, how to use a bow, how to create all your arrows and stuff, or just buy them. And hopefully you can put it into action. Any questions, do let me know in the comments. I've got all sorts of tutorials that I'm working on Elden Ring, so have a little look at the rest of my channel. I'm also creating new ones daily, so keep a subscription on me if you want to see new stuff for the game as well. That would be great. And I've also got loads of other games that I cover, like FIFA 22 and The Witcher 3 and many more. Thanks for watching.